Hi, I'm Dr. Owens, and this is the O2 Rehab Spotlight. This is a time and a place where we collaborate with others that have information or just simply help us as O2 Rehab Solution to model an educational tip for the community. And then we take the time to share who that person is, what they may do within their profession, or what special skill or service they might provide outside of their profession, because it gives us an opportunity, A, to share information with our community, B, support other small businesses, and 3 or C, allow you guys to know a little bit about who we are here at O2 Rehab Solutions. So today I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Shawn Council. She is a lawyer and she is a professor. She has recently moved from Connecticut here to Georgia, and she's moving her practice. And today she's going to talk to us about personal injury cases.
Shawn, how are
Hey,
you today?
hey, Carla, how are you today?
I'm glad to see you, and I'm glad that we're going to have an opportunity to talk about personal injury today. Right, but first, if you could tell us a little bit about what you do and something about your background.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I want to thank you very much for having me this glorious morning, Saturday morning. And what do I want to tell you about myself? Well, my name is Dr. Shawn Council Esquire, and I have a doctorate in law and policy. I'm also an attorney. I've been a practicing attorney for 21 years and a general practitioner by and large. And now my practice is solely concentrated on car accidents and employment and labor matters.
Okay.
I'm also a professor. I've been teaching at Connecticut State University for 16 years. And I very much enjoy doing that. But, you know, by and large, I'm just a practicing attorney who's been a litigator, who goes to court, who participates in hearings. And despite the COVID-19 pandemic that we find ourselves in, I am technologically advanced, and I have all of the capabilities to communicate effectively with my clients, whether it be by telephone or Zoom, which is what we're on right now, or WebEx or Teams, or I just found out about Google Duo, and I have so many Google accounts, so I should be able to engage with my clients via Google Duo and chatting and texting. And I'm a big proponent of technology. I also have the benefit of, prior to being a lawyer, working in a number of industries. So that's proven really helpful to me. I had a work experience, work background, work history before I became an attorney, and I had to work my way through law school. And I was a paralegal, and I also was a legal secretary. And so I have the ability to very quickly put together documents and deal with discovery matters and train paralegals and secretaries, and so I'm good at that. I type 90 words a minute, so I'm quick.
All right.
I'm quick and I'm efficient. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm a nerd. I like to read, so I stay on top of the law. So.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit, what is personal injury, also known as PI, because we'll refer to it as both things throughout our conversation. What is it?
Well, personal injury actually kind of harkens back to Hannibal and King Hannibal of Babylon. And of course, we have Anglo-Saxon law. And so we have case law and statutes that deal with what happens when a person gets injured, when a person is harmed by a neighbor, or a person is harmed by a horse and a buggy and a cart, when a person is harmed by a car, a motor vehicle, when a person is harmed by a dog, a roving dog that just comes upon a victim and bites that victim. What happens when you're out and there's snow or there's rain or there's debris or there's some sort of problem or condition in the road and the person slips and falls? Slip and fall is also a personal injury. So it really covers the area of negligence. It covers the area of causation. It covers the area of who causes the problem. and then of course damages. You can have
Mhm.
all of the elements covered, but if you don't have damages, then the likelihood is you're going to recover nominal at best. So you've got to
Okay.
be injured, and thus personal
Mhm.
injury.
Mhm. Okay, awesome. So how big of an issue is personal industry in the world that we're living in today? Is it a common thing that's happening?
Personal injury,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is. In
Do you
most
have any,
cases, however, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, do you have any ideas about the number of personal injury cases that are going on, say, in a year's time?
Well, I don't have the exact number of personal injury cases because, of course, personal injury covers car accident, motor vehicles, slip
Yeah,
and falls, dog bites, and those kinds of cases. What I will say is that the number of motor vehicles is really, really high in the United States. I actually looked up the numbers today, and on any given day, you have 16,436 car accidents a day.
wow,
That's a
yeah,
lot. That's a lot.
it is,
And
it is.
then approximately 6 million car accidents in the United States. And I believe of that, you have 3 million or so individuals who are actually injured
Right,
during a
right,
car accident. And then 22,471 people approximately just have property damage, meaning
okay,
their vehicle needs to be repaired as a result of the negligence, the direct hit, the physical harm to the property, to the car. Those repairs need to be made, and they may or may not have personal injuries. That happens. I've been in a couple of little quote unquote fender benders, so to speak, where my car was injured, but in fact I wasn't. And so you really need to have a legitimate claim in terms of personal injury in order for you to prevail, whether it be settlement or court. And so that's incredibly important for the incredibly important. The distinction is incredibly important, is what I'm trying to say.
You know, we have a lot of patients that come to the clinic too, and they've been in situations where they've had a slip or a fall, or they've been in a motor vehicle accident. And so we kind of have a unique perspective that we kind of see some of the challenges and things that these clients are going through. And I was wondering, is there some basic advice that you can offer them, things they should do if they ever find themselves in a personal injury situation, to kind of help them miss some of the pitfalls that I see a lot of them are kind of falling into?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You all, the first thing is you really need a personal attorney. It helps when you're able to, when something happens, to pick up the phone and to call that lawyer, whether it be their personal cell phone or their office number, or even shooting them an email. And you'd be surprised, like myself, I'm extremely responsive when I get an email or a text message from a known or unknown client. Quite frankly, I get back to you, especially when you're saying it's urgent, it's an emergency. And clearly a slip and fall is an emergency. A car accident at the scene is an emergency. And so one of the worst things, that I've seen over time is the inability to document what happened and give
right.
the name, address, and telephone number for witnesses. That is incredibly important. Passengers that were in the car, taking pictures at the scene of the
Mm-hmm.
accident. Everybody has a cell phone. Take
Mm-hmm.
pictures. You
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
cannot cross-examine a photograph. You cannot cross-examine a video. Take a video. Take a
Mm-hmm.
video. We all have video capabilities on our phone. Embrace the technology. And you'd be surprised how impactful that is in terms of settlement negotiations. And by the way, most car accident cases, most slip and fall, most litigation throughout the country settles.
Okay, I didn't
Settles.
know that. Yeah.
99, between 99, 95 and 99% of all matters settle.
So you're saying that you think a person should get an attorney right off, because a
Right
lot
away.
of times people, they go directly to the insurance company, and as long as things go smoothly, it kind of starts and stops there. What are your thoughts about that? What are things that are happening that maybe we, the consumers, just are not aware of, or that we should be cautious of if we're dealing directly with them?
Well, you have to understand insurance companies, many of whom are traded on, they're publicly traded companies. They make money by withholding settlement proceeds
Mm,
or taking cases to trial, hoping to prevail, to prove that their insured was not negligent. They make money to do that. A couple of years ago, well, more than a couple of years ago, a number of years ago, there was some litigation, some investigation, some newspaper reporting regarding agents for insurance companies, adjusters rather, adjusters and or agents, were receiving bonuses for withholding settlement proceeds. The more that they
mhm,
were able to keep in the coffers of the insurance company, the bigger their bonuses. So we know that they're not your friend. The
mm,
objective is to keep as much money available to the insurance company. And they say to minimize premium hikes, and they want to keep their money.
mhm.
They want to keep their money. And so my answer to your question is, yes, you should get a lawyer right away instead of going directly to the insurance company, because they're not your advocate. They have an insured, and that's not you.
Mhm.
That
I
is
think,
not the person who is injured. There is an insured. They're not looking out for your best interest. They have no obligation to do so. And so, you need to be aware of that. They're not your friend.
mhm.
They're not your
I
friend.
think too, it gets a little intimidating for a lot of us when we say, okay, I have to find a lawyer, or I feel like I need a lawyer, and knowing exactly how to go about that. Like, how do you find a good lawyer? Who can you call when it comes to associations or societies? To get information about, number one, how should I be screening my lawyer? And two, how do I find one that I feel like will take care of me and represent my best interests?
Well, those are good questions. As lawyers, we have an obligation, we have ethics, we have rules that govern our behavior, and we
Right.
have to put the client's interests first. We can't
Mm-hmm.
settle a case without a client approving the settlement, and people don't know that, but we can't. And so that there's certain kinds of areas of decision making that belong squarely within the province of the client. And
Mm-hmm.
one of which is whether or not you want to go to trial, and the other is, one of them is whether or not you want to settle and for how much.
Mm-hmm.
So a good lawyer like myself will communicate often with the client, and there are rules about how often is reasonable communications. I mean, in
Mm-hmm.
today's times, clients oftentimes they want an immediate response, and for them, reasonable is every day, every email, every text message. That's a lot.
Right, right,
I
right.
try to be extremely responsive to my client. So the more responsiveness you get from a lawyer, I think the better the lawyer is.
Okay.
So some of the pitfalls are they don't get a call back. Nobody sends
Right.
out letters in the U.S. mail now, and now with the pandemic, we're not going to do that anymore either.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to embrace the technology, read your emails, check your text messages, pick up phone calls. People don't really leave voice messages anymore, like we used to. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll text. So
Mm-hmm.
respond.
Okay.
So how do you know about getting a good lawyer? Well, I do understand in Georgia that everybody doesn't know a lawyer. We
Right,
got well
right.
over 3 million people in the Atlanta metro area, and that's a lot of people. And
Mm-hmm.
you have a gulf between the attorneys and the clients. And so one way is the greatest way that people get an attorney is through referrals. It's a great resource for an attorney. The vast majority of my cases come from referrals, and thank God for that. There have been times where I did everybody's car accident in the family, like the whole family,
Mm-hmm.
multiple
Mm-hmm.
families over the years. I've represented every single person in the family, and not just for motor vehicle in the past, but for other things. I was the family lawyer. Everybody needs a family lawyer. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
needs a family
Mm-hmm.
lawyer. And oftentimes, if that family lawyer doesn't know a particular area or like it or desire it, or they don't practice in that area, they will more than likely and happily look in their phone like I do. And
Mm-hmm.
I had somebody yesterday ask me to do some stuff. I'm like, yes, I do that, but I only do this in Georgia and Connecticut. And he's in South Carolina now. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't have anybody to refer you to. So I need to build up my network in some other places as well, because my clients have, like many other Americans, moved across the country.
Right.
And so he
Absolutely.
wanted me to help him with something. I would have gladly done it, but I'm not an unethical lawyer, and I had an obligation to tell him I'm not licensed to practice law in South Carolina. I can't help you with that anymore. You live there, and I source now. The Georgia Bar also has a Find Lawyers app, and and there are other search engine resources. My suggestion is find an attorney that's in your area.
Right.
Atlanta Metro is huge. It's huge.
It is, absolutely.
And now there's much more of an emphasis on being local. People do not want to travel, and especially since we've been locked in place, and we're staying close to home. Some of us that are working at home, we're staying in our neighborhoods. So my recommendation in terms of finding an attorney is look for one in your area.
Okay.
And then call that person, interview that person, ask that person some questions. See how quickly they respond to you. I have a chat function on my website. Chat with them, email them, see how responsive they are. That's important to me. You know, when I'm looking for.
Give me an example of that. You're talking about questions. You're talking about these questions. Give us an example of what do those questions look like? What do you think is a good question when you have somebody reach out to you and they say, hey, Shawn, blah, you know, how should that person screen you?
Okay, well, you can ask them how long they've been in practice. I've been doing PI for 30-something years. I did PI as a secretary. I did PI as a paralegal, and then I did PI as a lawyer. I've been doing PI for 34 years in some capacity, and I work for big PI law firms, and big law firms, you know. And so I'm asking them how long they've been doing it. Do they go to court? That's important. Do they go to court? Will they try?
I would assume everybody goes to court. That's not the case?
No.
Wow.
Everybody is not a litigator. Not at all.
I didn't know. This is news to me.
Not at all. That's my objective.
Absolutely.
And the other question I think I would ask post-pandemic, or we're not post-pandemic, we're still in it. Can I engage with the firm virtually? Can I engage with the firm? So in the pandemic, can I communicate with your law firm virtually? That is critical, because I was already in the process of shifting to a virtual law firm before the pandemic. And I do have a physical location, but with technology, you really don't have to see clients. I see clients by FaceTime. I see clients by WebEx. I see clients by Zoom. I see clients by Teams. I text with my clients. I email my clients. You know, sometimes people say I email too much. I'm communicating. I'm known for communicating. A lot of lawyers aren't, though. And even you can attest to the fact. When have I not responded to you?
Oh, you're good. I got to give you that. Respond. Yeah, absolutely. So another question that I think where people are intimidated, particularly when it comes to lawyers, is the cost. And what are options?
Oh, okay.
Like, what are options? Because sometimes people may just kind of go with the flow and really in some ways get mistreated in their situations because they're fearful of, well, I don't think I can really afford a lawyer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That I haven't heard. And typically we do a contingency fee agreement in personal injury cases. So everything is clearly outlined. We discussed some of the statutory obligations and the roles between the parties. And that's very, very important. And so I don't represent anybody that I don't have some sort of client agreement with. So that's step one. Also, with respect to personal injury cases, There is a percentage of the proceeds that go to the attorney outright if you don't go to trial, and then a higher percentage typically if you go to trial, and that's all spelled out in the contingency fee agreement. Of course, if the lawyer doesn't win, by and large, the fees are not recovered by the attorney. So the attorney is only willing to take cases that they know are either going to settle or that more likely than not will result in a favorable verdict at trial. Meaning, if the car accident is your fault and you hit somebody and injured yourself, do not call the attorney. They're not going to take your case.
Right.
It's your fault. It's your fault. You need a lawyer to defend you. And typically that's an assigned attorney from the insurance company. You know, they're going to assign you an attorney. But don't call a plaintiff's lawyer and it's your fault.
Right.
And those are the kinds of questions that you need to answer honestly when you call the law firm, because I'm asking you what happened. And you need to tell me what happened and tell the truth, because I have had clients in the past not tell me the complete truth, and I had to decline representation after 2 or 3 calls before the fee was negotiated and papers were signed, or you know, you have to terminate subsequently. Why? The client didn't tell you the truth.
Right.
And you found out otherwise.
So
and that,
honesty,
you know, that's really not
the best
fair.
policy.
Yes, honesty is the best policy. That's really not fair. And so, yeah, you in terms of cost, you know, you have to keep in mind law school is very expensive. Undergraduate school is very expensive. By the time the average lawyer gets out of school at age 25 or a little higher, depending on how old they are, they're in over $200,000 worth of debt, similar to doctors. Do we say that doctors are paid too much money and that they should reduce their costs? No, we have a problem and we go there and we say, hey, help me, treat me. Same thing with lawyers. So we're talking about PI. And typically, most PI cases, maybe not so much dog bite cases, are contingency fee basis. So the lawyer will assume the upfront costs and recover everything at settlement and or after trial, after a successful verdict. So we're very careful and selective about what cases we will take, because our money's on the line.
Actually.
Most cases settle. Most people don't ever go to court. I'm sorry?
So let's talk about timelines. And I understand that you can't give one timeline for all cases because they all have different levels of involvement and that type of thing. But generally, to give clients, because I don't know that they understand that it may not be a fast resolution. What would you say the average timeline for a typical case is before when they reach out to you and when things kind of settle?
Well, I do have a team in place, but of course, clients are free to use any provider that they want. But the sooner they come to me, they call me the day of the accident, which many of my clients have, within a day or 2 of an accident. And then, of course, they sign me up. I make a referral, or their doctor, their primary care physician has made a referral for care, and you need to go and keep the appointment. We typically do not start entering into settlement negotiations until all of the treatment has resolved and has ended, and we get the treatment notes and the bells and the x-rays or MRIs or just the documentation documenting your damages, your injuries. We need that. And then we put together, quote unquote, a demand package, and we send that over to the carrier for review. Okay. So to ask me for a specific time frame as to when the case will resolve, well, the answer to that is that depends. It depends on a host of things. How injured were you? Where were you injured? Where are you treating? How good is the provider at furnishing information? But you have a 2-year statute of limitations before you have to file in court. And by and large, most cases resolve before those 2 years.
Okay, that's a good timeline. All righty. Is there anything else that you may want to share with the community that they maybe should know about personal injury, cases before we kind of wrap up?
Well, I want to thank you very much for all of you who have used my services in the past, and I want to welcome all future clients to Shawn Council Lawfirm. I am very much excited about serving the Atlanta metro area, and in particular the Stockbridge uh, area, Jonesboro, Clayton County, Henry County, Butts County, even Macon County. Anybody who doesn't really want to go downtown Atlanta, I specifically put my office there because I was in Atlanta for a while, and there were for over a year, well, two locations actually, about a year and a half or so. And people were not as desirous to come downtown because of the commute, the traffic, and parking. And so I specifically kept my practice here in Stockbridge in order to accommodate all of my wonderful clients and my future clients. So welcome. Please embrace technology. I would definitely communicate with you, let you know what's going on with your case, not on a daily basis, but relatively often. And I do have a wonderful paralegal team in place that helps me manage my caseload, and will be also who also communicate often with my clients. So please anticipate a call from the office, and one of my wonderful paralegals will be conveying any information that I may want to dispense or disperse to you. Okay. So thank you again for taking the time to listen to this video, and we want to wish all of you a happy rest of 2020 post-pandemic. We are going to make it through, and we're going to make it through together.
And Shawn, thank you so much. You gave us such great information. I'm sure that the community is going to benefit from this, because I know I learned a couple things too.
Thank you for joining us at the O2 Rehab Spotlight. Dr. Shawn Council, it was an awesome interview. Thank you for giving us your time and helping us to provide information to the community, especially of such value. I'd like to do it again, maybe tackle another subject matter. And to all of you that got something out of this video, take the time to subscribe to us on YouTube. This is the location that we'll be putting any video that we create. We'll be putting it there. These videos hopefully will be packed full of information that will be useful in our lives. So please go ahead and find us on YouTube, O2 Rehab Solutions. Subscribe and hit notifications so you don't miss out. And until we meet again.